Hey there. So, what I want to talk about today, kind of off topic for what I usually talk about, but I want to talk about, my book just fell. What I want to talk about is why I no longer listen to hip hop. Now, keep in mind, it's a complex issue, but I'll start from the beginning, right? So, I used to be a major hip hop head growing up from about the ages of 12 to my late 20s. And, started off listening to Eminem. Then I branched into West Coast hip hop, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. Then I got into 50 Cent, The Game, Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Wu-Tang Clan. And it just, it expanded from there. And then, in around 2015, 2016, I started getting into the SoundCloud rap era a little bit. XXXTentacion. Also the drill music scene, that subgenre of hip-hop that focuses on gang culture and beefs and disputes between rival hip-hop groups and gangs that originated in the south side of Chicago with King Louie and Pac-Man and Chief Keef and all that. But anyway, long story short, right? So I got to a certain point around 2020, 2021 where my interest in hip-hop slowly started to wane, where I used to subscribe to a lot of hip-hop channels to just, keep myself informed and apprised as to what was transpiring in the hip-hop community. I found it interesting, obviously, as most hip-hop heads are going to find the lives of the artists that they listen to interesting and want to know what's going on with their lives. And to be real with you, this plays a part in what I'm about to talk about, because every industry within entertainment, there is drama to be found within it. But I think nothing more so than the music industry, specifically hip-hop, there is just a great deal of drama and beef and negativity associated with that industry. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think hip-hop is a beautiful art form. It's a beautiful means of artistic expression. It certainly can be. However, around 2020, I began to take heed to the fact that I could only devote so much mental real estate in my day, in my life. And I needed to focus on the important things in life. I wanted to become more literate. I wanted to become more articulate. I wanted to focus more of my energy on books and literature and self-educating, personal development. And slowly but surely, I found hip-hop to be, I don't want to say a negative influence, but let's call it that for conversation's sake, because I can't think of a better term right now to use. I found it to be a negative influence on the way I thought, the way I approached things. Now, this doesn't speak for all hip-hop music, because there's a lot of hip-hop music that's very thought-provoking and interesting and unique, because there's various subgenres within hip-hop. There's not just like drill and SoundCloud and gangster rap. Like, there's conscious rap, if you want to call it that. Guys like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, stuff like that. Like, that's all well and good, but my interest in hip-hop slowly started to wane as my interest in other things began to grow. I began to pay more attention to politics, to culture, other areas of culture besides hip-hop that I found to be more interesting and more worth my time, I suppose you could say. And there are times where I'll catch myself listening to hip-hop here and there. Like the other day, I was listening to Runaway by Kanye West. It's a dope song, right? But the thing is, man, mental real estate, like I was talking about, is very, very precious, and you only have a certain amount of it, and you got to be careful with what you devote mental real estate to in your life, what you choose to focus on, what you choose to consume. So like I said, I was a major hip-hop head from 12 to late 20s, so like almost 15 years around there. So I got to the point, though, where I realized that it wasn't really having a positive effect on my mentality. And I don't know if that's more to do with me or if it's more to do with the culture, the hip-hop culture itself. But hip-hop culture is extremely influential. It can be influential in a positive and a negative way. Nothing is black and white. Things are complex. However, for me, hip-hop became not worth listening to. And a lot of it had to do, I suppose, with the type of hip-hop I was listening to. I got deep into the drill music scene, and as well as for lack of a better phrasing, the SoundCloud rap era, that sort of subgenre. Especially considering me and my writing partner, Q, we were writing a script about the rise and fall of a SoundCloud rapper and someone who's torn apart by their childhood trauma and so forth. I won't get too deep into that, but the point is, after we finished writing that project, I began to focus on other things, like things I felt were more of a priority to focus my attention and energy on. And it was a slow process, but over the course of like 2020, 2021, I unsubscribed from all the hip-hop channels that I subscribed to because I just didn't want to keep listening to all the beef and all the drama and all the bullshit associated with that industry. Like I said, don't get it twisted. Like, there's a lot of shit about hip-hop that's amazing, that's dope, that's, it takes young men out of poverty that don't really have a wide array of opportunity in their life, and it gives them an opportunity to make something of themselves and achieve the American dream. I think hip-hop is like the embodiment of the American dream, the ability to go from something to nothing, like the ability to turn shit into sugar, essentially, like what 50 Cent talks about. But I just felt it was necessary to start focusing on more important things. I started paying more attention to politics. I got deeper into literature. And as a screenwriter, I need to keep a clear mind. I need to keep a clear head. I want to become more articulate. I wanted to fill the gap that had been left by the departure of hip-hop from my life with more important things. More important to me, because you choose what's important to you. You can't let anyone else do that for you. You can't let friends, family, parents, culture, anything force upon you what's a priority, what's important. As long as you're not hurting anyone or anything like that, you get to choose what's important to you and focus on it. And I felt that hip-hop was no longer worth focusing on, honestly. I barely listen to hip-hop anymore, and I can honestly say that I think a lot more clearly. I feel like I have a lot more of a positive mindset. I feel like I have replaced my interest in hip-hop with interest in more productive things, honestly, and I feel like my life has improved because of it. Now, one size doesn't fit all. This doesn't apply to everybody. Like, there's some people who listen to hip-hop and have very productive, fulfilling lives, who are positive people, who can think straight. But for me, hip-hop just became too, how would I put this? It started to contaminate my mindset with negativity. And again, that could be because of the sort of hip-hop I was listening to. But I listen to all kinds of hip-hop. I listen to everything from Kendrick to J. Cole to Eminem to Young Pappy, who's a drill rapper from Chicago, rest in peace. I listen to a lot of drill rappers, and I think there's a lot of positivity about the fact that these young men are able to rise up from their situation and achieve success in the hip-hop industry. I think that's great. But the amount of drama and negativity associated with that music and with that lifestyle is not something that I wanted to entertain anymore. It's not something I wanted to pay attention to anymore. So for me, while I'll catch myself listening to hip-hop here and there, but at the same time, it's just not a priority of mine to listen to that kind of music. Like now, if I listen to music, I'll listen to Chicano oldies. I really like Chicano oldies. I'll just put on a playlist and just, have it play in the background while I'm writing or doing something, while I'm working out, whatever the case may be. But the majority of time, I'm not even listening to music now. I've noticed there's a lot of articles and videos popping up lately on my feed that that I would say, how would I put this? There's a lot of articles and videos popping up on my feed, whether it be on YouTube or Medium or whatever, that speak about why you should no longer listen to music and how not listening to music will get you ahead of 99% of people or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've been seeing a lot of people talking and writing about the benefits of not listening to music. Now, I will say this. I haven't read or watched a lot of them, but I'm going to check them out and see what they're talking about. But I do find that interesting. That's kind of becoming a trending topic in some ways on the internet landscape, in the digital landscape, at least in my feed. Maybe nobody else sees that or pays attention to it or what have you. But for me, the majority of the time when I'm listening to something, it's not music at all. It's a podcast. It's an interview with someone interesting. It's a discussion between two intellectuals. It could be a podcast ranging from Jordan Peterson to Joe Rogan to Piers Morgan interview to something regarding culture or politics or education. You know, I just want to educate myself. I want to get smarter. I want to retain more information. And given the fact I'm a busy man, I'm not saying that to brag, but I am a very busy man. You know, I have very little time to myself these days. I have a lot of things I'm juggling right now, and I need to keep a clear mind. I need to stay positive, and I need to stay focused. So I listen to hip hop very sparingly. Like, hip hop is not something that is a priority of mine to listen to right now. I am no longer apprised of what is going on in hip hop. I am no longer really interested as much as I used to be in what's going on in hip hop, although I do admire a lot of rappers and a lot of artists within the hip hop industry. I think they're definitely, a lot of them are worthy of admiration, but also you got to be careful with that too, because I think that my generation, me being born in 92, coming of age in the 2000s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, like, we were raised not by real big homies, but by these like by the Hollywood gangster subculture, by the image that music and culture conveys as to what's really a gangster and this and that. Like, I know sounds a little bit off topic, but me and my friends, we really used to admire these guys. We used to want to emulate them. We used to want to be like them. Like, we wanted to be gangsters like these fools. So the thing is, like, at a certain point you grow up and you realize, like, that's not really how it is. That's not really what a criminal life entails. Like, they're only giving you a small part of it. And I think it's a double-edged sword. Let's take drill rap, for example. I think it's a double-edged sword, both positive and negative, that these drill rappers, they are inspirational in the sense that they're able to extricate themselves from a terrible situation of living in a poverty-ridden, gang-ridden neighborhood, and they're able to make money, take care of their families, move to a nicer area. But when it comes to the actual music itself, artists need to talk about their lived experience, what they've been through, the struggles that they've endured, the real-life struggles that they've endured. And the thing is, some people can listen to drill music and they can say, oh, what an interesting life experience. Like, what a fascinating transformation. Like, they've gone from this to that. But oftentimes these drill rappers are, not always, because a lot of them grow out of that, but a lot of times they're actually still active gang members from what they say. So I know what it's like to be an impressionable young kid. You know, I know what it's like to want to emulate your favorite hip hop artist. I think there's positive and negative elements to the influence that hip hop has on the community, especially on young men. You know, like, as young men, we have a desire to belong to a tribe, to be respected within that tribe, to achieve success and respect and a reputation. Like, and gang culture and hip hop provides a pathway for young men to achieve status and respect and a reputation and money and all that stuff that young men, especially young men, want. You know, like, ages 13 to 25, that's the predominant makeup of gang members. And it's because as young men, we're we're striving to find our place in the world. We're striving to embark on a conquest. We're striving to achieve respect and status and recognition within our tribe, within our neighborhood, within the cultural landscape. So there's the element of inspiration that certain subgenres of hip hop music can provide, but then there's also, I suppose you could say, a negative influence. But at the same time, I'm never ever in favor of censoring an artist for talking about the life experiences they've endured or whatever they want to talk about, because like we gotta let artists express themselves, even the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's important. Like we can't choose to censor drill rappers by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's definitely not a positive reaction to that. So basically it's like, how do you continue to express yourself as an artist while also taking into account that what you're rapping about, what you're making music about can also be negatively influential? It's a tough tightrope, man. It's like me and my writing partner were talking about that not too long ago. It's like drill rap can be a positive influence because it provides a pathway towards success, but the music can also fuel and pour kerosene on the gang warfare that these young men are involved in, especially with social media, hip hop, gang culture. All of that like intertwines in this cocktail of, I don't know what you'd call it, a cocktail of negativity oftentimes, but also of entertainment for a lot of people, because it's almost like watching your favorite crime drama on Netflix. Like the lives of these drill rappers have become like a crime drama, a real life crime drama on Netflix for people to consume and enjoy. Like with the drill music scene has become mainstream now. It went from like Chicago to the UK to New York to Canada to Ireland to Africa, all over the world. Like drill rap went from being a subgenre to being a part of mainstream hip hop, and that's for better or worse. I don't think, again, I would never ever be in favor of censorship ever. I mean, there might, unless you're like inciting violence or encouraging people to commit violence, I suppose. I'm not an expert on matters of free speech, but I think free speech is definitely a net positive. So I say all that to say, you got to be careful with what you listen to, and you got to be careful with what you consume. And it's hard for a young man to have a mature perspective on this thing. Like if you're a 15-year-old, it's really hard not to want to emulate your favorite drill rapper or your favorite hip hop artist, whoever that may be, because it's hard as a young man to have the mature perspective of, okay, this is art that they've created. I should take only the positive aspects from it and leave behind the negative components. That's difficult to do. I was not able to do that as a young man. However, at the same time, I hate to repeat myself, or maybe I kind of like it sometimes because I do it a lot, but listen, I don't mean to keep repeating myself on this, but I'm not in favor of ever censoring these drill rappers. I think they need an artistic means to express themselves. I think that's very, very important. But me personally, I just hit the curb. Damn, that sucks. Man, I'm retarded for that. Anyway. So the point I'm trying to make is this. For me, I had to decide that I needed to drastically decrease the amount of hip hop that I was listening to, because it just wasn't worth it for me anymore. I have to dedicate mental real estate to things that are going to help me grow as a person, that are going to educate me, that are going to fuel my personal development, I guess you could call it, sounds kind of corny, but my educational journey. So there are still times where like I'll listen to Chicano hip hop because I like a lot of Chicano rappers. But again, it's very sparingly, because there's certain things I just can't fill my head with. Like I like to be able to think clearly. I like to have articulate conversations with myself. Like when I have time to think, I want to be able to think clearly. I don't want my mind to be clouded or cluttered with nonsense. I don't want to fill my mind necessarily with negative music that focuses on using drugs and killing people and fucking bitches and all that type of stuff. Like, there's a time and a place for it. You know, I was working out the other day. Usually I listen to a podcast, but I threw on some Young Pappy. And, you know, he's dope. He's a very talented young artist. Rest in peace to him. But, yeah, I just can't do it with hip-hop anymore. Like, there's still certain arenas of hip-hop that if something interesting happens, I'll look into it. But it's very sparingly. I had to shift my focus toward more positive things, honestly. So, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure, would have just a negative response to that. Like, am I calling hip-hop negative? Am I saying it's bad for people? No, I think you just need to choose what you attribute your mental real estate to, what you allocate mental real estate to. And I think it's important to take things for what they are, their art. Like, don't try and emulate your favorite hip-hop artist. Don't try and emulate your favorite drill rapper. Don't do stupid shit just because you've seen someone you admire do the same thing. So, you know, it's a complex issue because I think hip-hop, like I said, is a beautiful art form, but also I don't listen to it very much anymore, hardly at all, because I just have to focus on more important things that are more important to me. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, but we can get more into it in a later date. I got to get back to work right now. So anyway, I hope you have a great Sunday. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you learned a little something from what I said. If it doesn't work for you, cool. If you're able to take something from this and apply it to your own life in a positive way, that's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and talk next week. All right, peace.